Why is that such a big deal? Because it's never happened before. We've never been stabilized by a group of human beings on the surface. We've always been stabilized by the galactics. We've always been stabilized by off-planet beings of higher frequency who've served humanity by saying, you guys are going to go through a collective dark night of the soul. We'll hold you while you go through it. Is humanity about to be tested again? I know a lot of you are going to throw your hands up and say, no, I'm too tired. I'm too exhausted. I can't take anymore. So we're going to talk about the answer, because I don't hold things back from you guys. I tell you how it is. Yes, is the answer. If the question is humanity going to be tested again, then the answer is yes. But stay tuned, because not everybody's going to be tested in the same way. Not everybody has the same role in the upcoming test. I'm going to talk about why, what the test is about, what necessitates it, what the different roles are as we go through this test, because not everybody is going to be tested. Other people are going to serve different roles, and stay to the end, because that's really where I want to address those of you who feel so tired and say, I can't do anymore, I can't go any further. And that conversation is going to lead you somewhere exceptional. That conversation about the tiredness is going to lead you to an outcome that I really want you to stay tuned for, because even if you're not tired, you want to hear the answer about this elevation of consciousness and where it's taking you. Okay. What necessitates another test for humanity? So what is a collective test? It's a dark night of the soul for humanity. It's where humanity is confronted with reality, and they have to take the blinkers off, and they have to see things for how it really is. They've got to work through their cognitive dissonance. And what necessitates this is the snooze button. The snooze button. So you know when you're tired and your alarm clock goes, and then you click on the snooze button. 5 more minutes, universe. Just give me 5 more minutes. I'll wake up later. I'll wake up in a little while. Just give me 5 more minutes. And so you keep pressing the snooze button. There's a lot of people that have been pressing the proverbial universal snooze button. And they've pushed it, and what's happened is they've woken up and fallen back to sleep again. They've woken up and said, oh, whoa, okay, reality is not what I thought that it was. We do live in a false matrix. Man, I got to have my wits about me. I've got to come into more of a authenticity with my life. And then the snooze button gets hit when people go, you know what? I'm just going to chase the car. I'm just going to put my everything into the relationship that I know is not really good for me, or the new career because I could get a promotion, whatever it is that isn't consequential to your highest outcome. Those distractions, that's the snooze button. That's the pretense that none of it really happened. I was just imagining that we live in a false matrix. So it's kind of like going back into sleep again for not everyone, but for a lot of people. So that's what necessitates the test. Another thing that necessitates it is, and you'll know this firsthand, what happens when life gets really, really difficult? You grow. What happens is you push beyond a boundary point. You push beyond a stuck place. And suddenly you find a determination inside of you, or a courage inside of you, or a realness inside of you. You burst through a barricade, an inner barricade, and you find somewhere, you gain access to a level of yourself that you couldn't otherwise access. So we've been taught, conditioned, specifically by the false matrix, to avoid pain. At all costs, we avoid pain, we avoid discomfort, which means we also avoid growth. And a retest is exactly that. It's like an opportunity to grow, which is beautiful. When you realize, and this is so important, when you realize that pain, as in facing difficulty, is not the end of the world, that if anything, it evolves you. If anything, it's an opportunity to refine you. If anything, it's an opportunity to elevate you to a level that you couldn't otherwise attain. If you understand that, then you're going to start running into what you deem to be an avoidable situation from an old reality, from the current truth that you might be looking at reality with, though. I want you to start shifting your lens, shifting your focus and seeing, well, it's okay for me to grow. And it's okay to grow through pain. And let me tell you something even more amazing. And that is, when you grow through pain, you stop fearing pain. Okay, this is where it gets good. Are you listening? When you stop fearing pain, you start realizing, I don't have anything that I need to run away from. How powerful are you then when fear doesn't control you? Some people say, Carrie, you're a fear mongerer, baby. You are fear mongering. Why? Because I talk to you guys about entities. I talk to you guys about darkness, and I do it very factually, and I do it without fear. I do it from a place of, could you please see how bloody powerful you are? Could you please see what you're equal to? Because if you can, where's the fear? Pain, fear, darkness, they begin to get very small. They diminish into their rightful place, which is insignificance. And then what becomes significant is not you suppressing, is not you avoiding, it's not you running away from something, resisting something. Instead, it is you in an open freedom with life that allows life to flow, because you're not avoiding, you're not running. You're going, pain, schmain, darkness, schmarkness, entity, schmentities, it just doesn't matter, because I'm a being of light. So let's talk about the different roles as we go through the test. The most obvious role is the people who are going to be tested, the people who are going to be tested in a way that they have to take the blinkers off. They have to get real about themselves and the world that's an important part. Real about yourself is one part of the equation, but real about reality, real about the world that we live in, the illusion that we've called reality. When you can start seeing that as illusory, it opens up a doorway for you to see yourself as real. And that shifts the power dynamic in your world when suddenly you're the thing that is real, and that around you is the illusion that you, like an artist, get to model. Imagine that it's your clay. You are an artist or a sculptor even, and the illusion, that's your clay. That's what you use to recreate, to remodel reality from. That's why we're in the illusion, is to give ourselves the understanding of what is actually real. So those who are going to be tested are going to have to go through this again, wake up again. So that's dark night of the soul again. That is, it's rough. I know those of you who are telling me how tired you are, remember to stay tuned for that conversation. Let's though talk about more roles. There are more roles to play in this collective global test that I'm talking about. Another role that people are going to play is this role of, okay, I've evolved, right? I've grown because life has given me hardship. And let me just address something right here, right now, because I know you guys are going to say it in the comment section. But Carrie, surely darkness, hardship, pain, struggle, trauma, difficulty is not the only way to grow. I agree with you. I am not saying it's the only way to grow. I'm saying it's a good way to grow for a lot of people. And collectively, we need to use a lot of compassion, a lot of patience, because there's a lot of people that can't yet grow at the octave of love, at the bandwidth of harmony. That's not going to catalyze them to step out of the comfort zone. So, pain is, darkness is, the test is that drudging up of that stuff that you've tried to avoid, the stuff you've tried to suppress, repress, avoid, deny. It's that's going to come surfacing up again at a collective level. And of course, when we have a collective event, it's going to be an individual event as well, because everybody is affected in different ways. So the second role that I'm talking about is where you've already had perhaps multiple dark nights of the soul, perhaps multiple awakenings. And now the universe is looking at you saying, can you go beyond where you are? So yes, you have done it. You have brought yourself to a point of awakening. Can you step out of the desire to protect yourself and preserve where you are as if it's a destination? Because there's a lot of people sitting there right now. They're sitting at a place in their evolution and they're going, I did it. I've arrived, or I'm here, or I know what I need to know, or I'm doing what I need to do, or I'm seeing what I needed to see, not realizing that that's the beginning. That's the beginning, and that they've actually got to go beyond where they are. So another part of the test, or another role that people will be playing in this test, is those who've already come into an awakening may be catalyzed to go into a much deeper level of their awakening. Now, for those of you that say, look, I don't want to wait, because you guys are all overachievers. I say this to my online community all the time. You are the overachievers. It wasn't enough for you to come into an ascension lifetime. No, you decided, not only am I going to come into an ascension lifetime, I'm going to take the body with me. I'm going to take the vehicle that is so affiliated to, imprinted by, and associated with the false matrix. I'm going to take that very vehicle, the body itself, and I'm going to use the body to embody, which is to be recoded by my own soul essence, which means an absolute dissolving of the false self, an absolute dissolving of the old identity. Talk about overachievers. We could have just said, hey, we'll drop the body, see you in 5D. No, we said we're going to take the body with us. So being an overachiever, these are the kinds of things that we're going to do. For those of you that say, I want to grow of my own volition, I don't want to wait for a test, then go beyond. Go beyond where you're at right now by using your willingness as the invitation. So it looks like this. I'm willing to go beyond where I am. I'm willing. Don't know how. Don't need to know how. All I need is the willingness to move beyond my existing bandwidth and into a higher outcome, into a highest expression of me. You are a love light upon this planet. And when you understand that pain and difficulty and trauma and darkness and hardship and all of those things are in actual fact your allies that lead you to the same place that you can lead yourself to, which is evolution, which is growth, then you realize, oh, I really don't have to wait. And then you become part of a third group of people undergoing the test. This is the most important group of people. The most important, and I can't really say the most important as in the most special. I can say the most important as in without these guys that I'm about to describe to you, without this role being played, this wouldn't happen. The third role to play in the upcoming test is going to be played by those people who are stabilizing light because they've cleared enough density. They've gone through enough dark nights of the soul, spiritual awakening, reckoning with themselves. They've really done it. They've really stepped into a level of authenticity with themselves. Those people have a role that's never been played before on planet Earth, and that is to stabilize divinity into their body, to act as a beacon for those who are on the planet going through hardship. Why is that such a big deal? Because it's never happened before. We've never been stabilized by a group of human beings on the surface. We've always been stabilized by the galactics. We've always been stabilized by off-planet beings of higher frequency who've served humanity by saying, you guys are going to go through a collective dark night of the soul. We'll hold you while you go through it, which means we will ground in, anchor into our bodies and into the planet, which is why so many of them have been stationed here, invisibly so, which really just means out of phase with our eyesight, out of phase with our reality, but present nonetheless, just out of vision, out of visible bandwidth. So many of them have been grounded on this planet to ground into this planet divinity, higher consciousness. That's what we've drawn from when we go into prayer, when we go into a state of surrender, asking for help, asking for support. We then gain access to that energy that these beings have put in place for us. I know a lot of you guys are going to say, why can't you just go straight to God? Why do you have to even have the support of non-terrestrial beings on the planet? There's a very important answer. You can go directly to God. Most human beings will pray to God but be incapable of access points. In other words, they're incapable of leveling themselves up into their divinity in order to interact with the divinity of God, source, creator consciousness. They find it just a little bit more doable to level themselves up to another being, a non-terrestrial being, albeit, but it's another physical form. We relate physical form to physical form. We can have an angelic being right next to us and walk right past it. Not only do our eyes not register it, our energy field a lot of the time is not capable of connecting, tuning into those frequencies of love. We find it easier as a human being in a physical body to be stabilized by other physical beings. So what's going to happen now as we go through the next test that we're going through? Oh, and I'm going to give you a timeline because I know a lot of you are going to say, when? What is it going to be like to go through a test and be stabilized by the presence of other human beings? Does this mean that other human beings are going to have to stand there with a loudspeaker on a stage going, okay, human beings, let me give you steps, let me give you protocols, let me give you... No. No instruction, just presence. I talk about it here on YouTube. I talk about it in my online community because it's the most important thing that you can do is learn. And it is a learning. To really enter into your divinity, into your presence. It's what I teach. It's a full-time calling. Go to my online community if you want to learn how. But that's what those group of people who are able to operate at that level, that's what they're going to be doing. They're going to be stabilizing divinity into their body. Now, something you must know about them. Because that's their job in the upcoming test, which is going to be a collective test. What it's going to look like, I cannot tell you. But it's going to be a collective test that's going to shake the planet. And it's going to leave a lot of people floundering and a lot of people saying, oh my gosh, the world isn't a safe place to be, or I don't feel safe, or this is scary. We've had scary events in the past. They take many different guises as we go through these trials and tribulations, these tests globally, individually, and personally. We find ourselves, in this case, being stabilized by those beings who've already worked through enough of their density. They've already done that. They're going to ground divinity into their body. You won't know their names. You won't know their faces. Maybe some of them you will, but you won't know, this such and such a person is going to be doing this for me, that for me. No, there's going to be a whole lot of people silently working in unison with themselves and their own higher consciousness to simply be in their presence. And that's going to send out a ripple of stability and calm upon this planet. And once that has literally anchored into the planet, it then starts to bring an anchoring to the people who may otherwise be floundering. Because this is the first time that stabilization is happening from on the surface, from human beings, not non-terrestrial beings, earth human beings. It's the first time this is happening. It is going to allow those traversing through the test to really feel a level of support they haven't accessed before. They're going to feel a level of, hey, I'm going to be okay. This is transparent, this is silly, this is see-through, this is an illusion, this isn't real. People are going to be able to see that very easily because it's easier to connect with another physical human body because we've got the same signature energy. Guys, did you know that? We're all family here. We literally share the same signature. We would recognize each other in a different universe and feel like home to each other because we got the same signature. It's Earth. Earth is literally imprinted into our energy fields. The people who are going to be holding divinity and stabilizing at that level, those people are going to find that life gets easier and smoother and sweeter. And they're going to start asking themselves questions that I ask you guys to ask yourselves very frequently. Online community members, this is very familiar to you. They're going to ask themselves questions like this: how good can this get? How good can my life be? How much ease can I actually hold? How much goodness can I actually organically stumble and fall into? How much support is available to me? How much abundance is rushing into my world right now? And how much of that abundance can I actually be in the presence of? How much love am I capable of experiencing and being loved by? How much love can I be loved by? What an exquisite question. It's questions like this that third group of people are going to have to ask themselves, because they're going to feel called upon to get into deeper and deeper levels of divinity, and life is going to line them up into those deeper levels of divinity. So they're going to see crazy mayhem go on around them, and some people succumbing to crazy mayhem, but they're not going to go into rescue mode. They're not going to go into savior syndrome. They're going to go into stabilization of their own divine presence, knowing that that's the ripple, because they're going to learn that they're here to trust their light. And when they do, it becomes an effortless, beautiful role to play, one that is so powerfully supported by the universe. So here's the when. Big question, right? When, Kerry? I can't tell you the date, but I can tell you when it's likely. And the reason I can't tell you the date is not because I'm withholding the information. It's because we're literally making this up as we go, guys. That's what the future is. The future is something that we're making up as we move forward in this world. Right? As we move forward in this world, we make up tomorrow and the next day and the next day together, collectively. So right now, it looks like it'll still be 2023, the last 3 months of 2023. Is it changeable? Definitely. Is the degree of the test malleable? Oh, yeah, absolutely. As we stand right now, humanity is going to be tested. Last 3 months or so of 2023, big test incoming. How much are you going to fall for? How much power will you hold? How much sovereignty, etc.? How much cognitive dissonance will you let go of? Those are the sort of questions and the sort of tests. Can you basically step the heck out of resistance and illusion and denial and avoidance and just start allowing reality to be what it is? It's a big point of mastery for human beings upon planet Earth, to learn to allow reality to be as it is. For yourself to be as you are, for others to be as they are. That's when we get onto the same page and can move beyond it. There's so many people that want to move beyond a reality that they can't yet get into, because they can't yet accept it, because they can't yet come to terms with it. We first have to see reality for what it is and be present with reality as it is, to move beyond the reality that we find unpleasurable, disfavorable, whatever it is. There's a final piece of today's conversation, and as always, I save the best to last. So what about you guys that are exhausted and you're saying, I can't, Kerry, I can't do any more. If the world gives me anything else to deal with, I'm just going to crumble into a heap of exhaustion and I'm not going to make it. Okay. What is that exhaustion about? It's about your ego. That's what is exhausted. Your ego's reached the end of its ability to navigate your life. It's good news. It's a good thing. But like anything, there's a tipping point, right? There's a tipping point where you go, this cannot drive me anymore. This cannot be the driver of my life anymore, because if it is, it's too much. And everything then that the ego has to deal with is just too much. So then don't send the ego out as the representative of who you are. Instead, begin to connect with the divinity of who you are. That's called your God spark. That's called your divine presence. There are many, many teachings in my online community that support you in connecting to that level of self, And isn't that cool? I'm not asking you to connect to me. I'm not asking you to connect to some other guru, someone with the answers. I'm asking you to connect to that within you, which is already ascended, which is already beyond your current circumstances, that has the answers because they've walked through it and they've lived through it. There is a version of you. And it's not about how do I catch up to that version of me. Instead, it's about how do I allow that version of me to connect to the current day self, who still holds false self, who still is being navigated by the ego, by the slave self that is entrained to the false matrix and answerable to the false matrix. How do I allow this higher version of me that already exists to step in? And that's got everything to do with energetic presence in this world. That's got everything to do with dropping down out of the brain, the mental chatter, and not just into the heart, but into your presence. The heart, by the way, is only a doorway. That's all it is. Powerful doorway, but it's a doorway nonetheless into the multidimensional presence of you. And when you do that, you're going to start to remedy that exhaustion. You're going to start to remedy that exhaustion because guess what's going to happen then? That's when the ego has something to dissolve into. It must have a next step, and it's time for the next step, and the next step is you. The next step is your own higher consciousness stepping in, but it's not something you've got to facilitate, like I've got to make this happen. No, it's something you've got to allow, and to allow it is a process of true embodiment, connection, working at a level of mastery that you came here to work at. You did. Whether you can spell the word spiritual or not, whether you understand that you're a multidimensional being or not, that at this point doesn't even matter. It's irrelevant. If you've been at this for all your life or at this for a whole 1 hour, doesn't matter. You're on the same level because you're already a master. You're already a being of divine, infinite cosmic intelligence. It's only about allowing access at the body level to that higher self to come on in. From my heart right into yours. Lots of love, everyone. Watch this video next. This is a really good one. It's all about being attacked, which a lot of light workers have been, will be. Speak to you really soon. Let me know in the comments below how you see yourself in this upcoming test. Bye-bye for now, everyone.